Morning, friends. Welcome to the Wednesday LiveStream from Dulcimer Crossing. It appears so far that things are working. I had to go through a lot of stuff, but it seems like things are working right now. So I'm always excited when things work. Today, our focus is going to be on breathing. Both kinds of dulcimers are instruments that do not require breath in order to produce the tone that we have when we are making our music. But let me use this video to help focus what I'm talking about.
Hi friends, this is Steve Yulberg for Habits for a Healthy Music Habitat. Breathing. It's not the thing we have to do in order to get the sound from our instrument, but there are a lot of instruments that do require breathing to make the sound, and we can learn something from them. When you breathe, you naturally have to phrase as if you're having a conversation, so you can breathe and pick up the next thing. Often my students will be so concentrating on what they're doing with their hands that they'll forget to breathe, and then all of a sudden they'll gasp and they'll realize they've forgotten to breathe. Well, the lack of breathing is going to cause some anxiety for what you're doing and will take the oxygen away from your brain. It's just not going to make the process any better. So I encourage you to breathe. Just breathe and let your musical phrasing match your breathing.
So that was a 1-minute snippet of what we call the Habits for Your Healthy Music Habitat, which is a feature of membership at Dulcimer Crossing. And that is tips and focal points that I, Linda, my partner in Dulcimer Crossing, and our Dulcimer Crossing instructors, and several other people have shared. They are sent out once a week, and we have a few years of those in our bank that are on their way to you. But this one focuses on breathing. Now, one of the things that I've been working with recently is looking at how the brain and the body store trauma. And in that, as I'm reading and studying about that, it reminds me of that whole thing. And there's these two complementary sides of our nervous system. There is the one that controls the in-breathing, and we feel so energized because one of the things that happens when we do that is we get some adrenaline. That's a piece of get ready. Athletes will do this if there is something that is coming that causes the fight or flight reaction. Taking a breath like that is a way to stimulate that part of our nervous system. But when that isn't working, or when that is working, but it's only working by itself, we're taking in the breath, we're getting all anxious, and we're ready, and we're overloaded with adrenaline, but we don't have the other side of our breathing, which is the exhale, which tells us to relax and come back to normal. And just like we need both sides of that to balance our emotional equilibrium, we need both sides of that to balance our musicianship as well. So it's important that we breathe in and we breathe out. Now, before a performance, there can be a lot of anxiety, and we might not be taking these deep breaths because we're so busy taking in a lot of breaths that are really short that we're doing the over adrenalizing of our system, and that we've already nervous. Now that adds to the nervousness. And when we start to play, we're playing really fast. Now, this is important because I recently was asked to share a recording with for a forum that was going to use it, and I listened to the recording and I thought, there's no way I'm sharing that. It was from a radio interview that I did some years ago, and I was playing the thing so fast that not only was it full of mistakes, but it made me start to think I must have been really nervous or very anxious, or I was trying to fit in too much music in too short a time. And so it made me think that it made me remember that when I'm recording, when I'm performing, my anxiety about time is so much different than the actual experience of the time, that I need to just click into the mode that the actual time is going to be slower than what I fear it's going to be. And so I'm now working on doing this. And let's transfer over to the hammer dulcimer, playing instead of the first one sounds really exciting, but even if I do all that busyness, it'll sound very busy, but if I don't just play as fast as I can play the whole time, the whole thing is going to go better and I'm going to feel more relaxed. Now, that means that I need to remember to breathe while I'm playing. And sometimes it helps me to take a deep breath, but then exhale. Oh, that made me maybe yawn. Sometimes that exhaling makes me yawn, which is a relaxing thing. But the other way that this makes a difference in our playing is when we are strumming. Sometimes this notion of complementarity or complementary actions in our body, we get so focused. Whoa, that looks so tiny, doesn't it? Let's zoom in on that. It is a smaller instrument, but I think there we go. Let's do that. Sometimes we overemphasize one side of the strumming process. If we're an outie, we only go out. If we're innies, we're going in. But in order for me to get ready for the next in strum, I have to get my hand over there. And why not just drag my pick back across on both sides, which is like the in and out of breathing. And speaking of that, let's hide that. So both sides of the process are really important. And here's the other piece of that. When I'm breathing and I'm regulating the internal chemistry and energy levels of my body so that both sides, the excitement and the relaxation, are in balance with each other, it can help my timing with my playing. I find that if I try to only do one thing all the time, that one thing gets overworked. And all of a sudden I feel all the muscles tense up in my hand and in my wrist and up my elbow and into my upper arm and into my shoulder and into my neck. And then I have a physical problem and I can't play. That's not any good. So to the extent that I can have balanced action on both sides of the strumming pattern, whether I'm an innie or an outie, just like breathing, now here's a test for you, and this is something I use as well. One of the things that I'm trying to do is be able to do many things at once. So if I have a strumming pattern that I've got going and I just start breathing, and I try to make my breathing go smoothly on the in and the out, and try to make my strumming go smoothly on the in and out, and not make this all of a sudden notice, is this going faster or slower when I'm breathing? Can I regulate two different things at the same time? Now, strumming is not a natural thing like breathing. If I stop thinking about it, my body takes over. My autonomic nervous system takes over and says, breathe, and breathe in, breathe out. And I can practice like, can I breathe slowly while strumming fast? And can I breathe fast while strumming slowly? That can be a part of what I'm doing with my exercises. So I add that third thing in there, and that helps me keep everything more steady. Now let's see how that can work on the hammer dulcimer in terms of balance and breathing. Sometimes we have a hammer which feels more like the hammer I trust, and we give it more work. If you're right-handed, if you're left-handed. But I've noticed that if I give both hands equal work, if I have both sides do it, what I'm actually doing is mapping it in both sides of my brain, so that when it comes time for me to play whatever it is I'm playing, that I don't have one hand that gets overworked. It gets balanced evenly. And with breathing, let's do the as I started doing that, I did the thing that often happens. I forgot to breathe. And I started getting anxious about where am I going to breathe because there's so much going on. So it's clear to me that the breathing with the playing with both hammers on the hammer dulcimer is also an exercise that I can work with to help keep me centered. I'll have several students, like I mentioned in the habits thing, that they get done with the piece that they're playing and they gasp because they've been holding their breath for the whole time they're playing. And that isn't healthy for us, but it also increases our anxiety, which makes it harder for us to do well. And I really want us to be able to do well. I want us to feel comfortable and be able to do well. I like that equal work for equal play. Aha. So, what I encourage you to do is pay attention to your breathing while you're playing. Here's the other thing that can happen with that. When you pay attention to your breathing, it takes your attention off some other things that you might be anxious about. And this is something I noticed for myself. that if I give myself one more thing to do, all of a sudden the things that I've struggled with doing become easier to do because I've taken my attention off them. It's like, don't breathe over my shoulder. You know how we all are when we're doing a thing that we're really good at. It's very smooth and even, and all of a sudden somebody's looking over our shoulder at us, breathing down my neck, and I can't do the thing I'm really good at. Well, if I give myself one more thing to do, it's like distracting the person that's looking over my shoulder. So the mental tricks we go through in order to be able to do the music we want to do are their own interesting thing too. But that's my focus today, is breathing. Focus on your breathing while you're playing and notice what happens when you do that. I'd love to hear what happens for you. I've got something beeping in the house. I don't know if you can see that, but it is very distracting to me. And I don't think breathing is going to take care of it. So I'm going to have to go look in a minute. But before we do that, this is a big week. This is the week of the Quarantine Dulcimer Festival, which is, Quarantine Dulcimer Festival, which is happening starting tomorrow. So let's share that page. All the workshops have already been, you can't sign up for any new workshops, but here are the things that are happening. You can get concert tickets. There are 5 concerts. What happened there? Okay. My concert slot is on Thursday night, but several of the Dulcimer Crossing instructors are scattered throughout the whole concert. And so if you click on the concerts link, it takes you to a place you can buy your ticket, but you can also see the lineup of who is playing when. So there's a Thursday evening concert, Friday evening, Saturday evening, and then there are 2 concerts on Sunday. We have a lot of performers, a lot of teachers, and it's very exciting to be a part of this. Now let's see if we can go back in this tab. Sure enough, we can. Good. Because we also have virtual vending that is taking place tomorrow afternoon. And I will be on the Dulcimer Crossing link. If you click here, we're at the bottom of the page, the second link. If you click here, between 2 and 4 p.m. Mountain Time, that takes me not to the vending link. That's where the vending link will be. It doesn't take you to the actual vending link. Tomorrow, it'll take you to the vending link when it opens up. And I'll be there to give people tours and see if there's not some special deal that might be offered. We never know. But that's tomorrow afternoon. And the workshops are Friday, Saturday, and Saturday. Now, the other thing to pay attention to is that next week, we have, very excited about this, our next workshop is with Lorinda Jones from Rhineyville, Kentucky. She is a mountain dulcimer and a harp player, and she's going to focus on, in a mountain dulcimer focused workshop, she's going to talk about the forms of the music we play, saying with a particular attention to what are the forms of the music, which helps us learn them. And I'm really excited about this. This is a tool that I use all the time. If you're a workshop or a mentor level of Dulcimer Crossing, you get access to that workshop by signing in, either clicking membership site here or members. And when you do that, it's going to take you to the live events page where you can click on, either go to the bottom of the page where you'll see here's where that's the link when you're logged in. There's a link to join the live event, or you can look at the upcoming live events and click there. Now, if you're not a member of Dulcimer Crossing, then let's stop that. All you do is click on the page on the Dulcimer Crossing homepage, and you can purchase a ticket just for that workshop. Now, whether you get an individual ticket for that workshop or you are accessing it as a live, as a mentor or workshop member of Dulcimer Crossing, you get access to the replay archive video as well. So it's, if you can't be there when we're doing it, which is next Thursday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, it's in 1 hour workshop, then you can get an individual ticket, and people are doing that. So they will be there. The workshop takes place on Zoom, so you have live interaction with our instructor, Erin May Lewis, and I will be there to co-host, and we will also make Hammer Dulcimer translation. So that is what I have for us today, since I have this annoying thing beeping at me that I need to go figure out what that is. If you have anything else that you would like to talk about, take a breath and then write to me. You can write in our comment section here. You can send it to me, Steve, at dulcimercrossing.com as well. Oops, there we go. I just typed that into the Facebook page. And now, since we're moving into the new season, let's take a look